Have you ever felt like there is a version of you, stronger, sharper, more disciplined, waiting just beneath the surface? A version of you untouched by doubt, unshaken by fear, and immune to the chaos of the world? Imagine waking up 7 days from now and looking into the mirror, but instead of seeing the same hesitant face, you see someone else. Someone whose presence commands respect without a single word. A man whose mind is clear, whose spirit is unbreakable, and whose will is carved from iron. What if I told you that in just 1 week you could unlock that version of yourself? Not through motivation, not through empty words, but through action, through 8 powerful habits that, when mastered, will alter the way you think, move, and exist in this world forever. The ancient Stoics believed that a man's power is not in what he owns, nor in what he conquers externally, but in how he governs himself. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic emperors, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The path to power is not found in shortcuts or tricks. It is found in discipline, in mastery, in bending your own nature to your will, until your weaknesses turn to dust and your strengths become your identity. This is not just a video, it is a challenge, a battle against everything that has kept you weak, hesitant, and afraid. If you commit to these 8 habits for just 1 week, you will feel it, something shifting inside you, a force waking up that you have long forgotten. But be warned, the path is not easy. Power does not belong to those who simply wish for it. It belongs to those willing to suffer for it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Every like, subscribe helps us continue our mission of sharing knowledge. And leave a comment below and share your opinion on these habits, or tell me which one resonates with you the most. Ready to unlock more wisdom? Let's get started. Habit 1. Mastering the first war, the battle within. There is a war that every man must face. It is not fought with swords or guns, nor is it waged on distant battlefields. This war takes place in the mind, in the soul, in the very essence of who you are. And make no mistake, this war is constant. The enemy? Yourself. Most men lose this war before they even realize it exists. They wake up every morning as prisoners of their own impulses, shackled by weakness, distractions, and desires that control them rather than serve them. They are slaves to comfort, to pleasure, to doubt. And the most tragic part? They believe this is normal. But you, wisdom seeker, must not make this mistake. The ancient Stoics understood that true power does not come from controlling the outside world. It comes from controlling the world within. Seneca once wrote, "No man is free who is a slave to his body." If you wish to be powerful, you must first declare war on your own limitations. And the first battlefield? Your mornings. From the moment your eyes open, a war begins. The weak man hears the voice of comfort. Stay in bed a little longer, hit snooze. There's no rush. He listens, and in that moment, he has already lost. Because the way you start your morning determines the way you will live your day. And the way you live your days determines the way you will live your life. The powerful man, however, understands this. He does not negotiate with weakness. He rises with purpose. When his mind whispers excuses, he silences it with action. He does not roll out of bed. He stands like a warrior entering the battlefield. Why? Because the first battle of the day sets the tone for everything that follows. This is why the most powerful men in history, from Marcus Aurelius to modern warriors, have strict morning disciplines. It is not about waking up early for the sake of it. It is about winning the first fight. It is about proving to yourself, before the rest of the world even opens its eyes, that you are in control. So how do you master this habit? It begins the night before. Weak men believe mornings start when they wake up. But the wise understand that victory is decided the night before. Set your intentions. Decide, before you sleep, what time you will rise, what action you will take first, and most importantly, why you are doing it. When the morning comes, do not hesitate. Move with power. Whether it is training your body, sitting in silence to discipline your mind, or diving into work before distractions can reach you. Act. The first hour is sacred. It is the foundation of your power. Do not waste it. The Stoics trained themselves to be indifferent to comfort. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself every morning, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for? You were not born to lie in comfort. You were born to conquer yourself. Master the first war, and the world will no longer have power over you. Habit 2. Becoming untouchable, detaching from the opinions of others. There is a chain that binds most men, a weight so heavy that they can never move freely. It is not made of steel, nor is it placed on them by force. It is invisible, yet it dictates every action, every decision, every thought they have. That chain is the opinion of others. Most men live their lives as puppets. Their strings are pulled by the judgment of strangers, by the expectations of society, by the fear of being disliked. They speak, not with their own voice, but with the voice they believe will be accepted. They walk paths they do not choose, they chase goals they do not desire, all because they are terrified of disapproval. This is weakness in its purest form. Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, warned against this when he said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why? Because power belongs to the man who moves through the world untouched by external noise. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you did something purely because you wanted to? Not because it was expected, not because it was praised, not because it was safe, but because it was right for you. Most men cannot answer this question honestly. They live like prisoners, afraid to make a single move without approval. They silence their own instincts in exchange for belonging. And in doing so, they kill the most powerful force they have, their own authentic will. But you, wisdom seeker, must be different. To become powerful, you must train yourself to detach, to step back from the noise, to see the world as an observer rather than a prisoner. This does not mean you do not listen. It does not mean you reject all advice. It means you filter. You take only what serves you and discard what weakens you. This is not easy. The need for validation is one of the deepest human cravings, but it is also the most dangerous, because a man who needs approval can be controlled. A man who fears judgment can be manipulated. But a man who is untouchable, he is unstoppable. How do you train this? First, you must learn the art of silence. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every critic deserves your energy. Most voices in the world speak from their own fears, their own insecurities. Understand this, and you will stop taking their words personally. Second, you must act without permission. If there is something you must do, do it. If there is a path you must walk, walk it. Not because it is easy, not because it is popular, but because it is yours. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." This is the root of weakness. Do not fall into this trap. Your power lies in your ability to move freely, to think freely, to act without hesitation. The moment you master this, you will feel it, a lightness, a sense of unshakable confidence. You will become a force, a presence that does not seek approval but instead commands respect. Detach, free yourself, become untouchable. Habit 3. The forging of iron discipline, training the body to obey the will. Power does not come to the man who waits. It does not come to the man who merely hopes for it. It comes to the man who demands it, first from himself, then from the world. And the first thing a man must conquer is not the battlefield, not his enemies, not even the obstacles that life throws at him. The first thing he must conquer is his own body. There is no power without discipline. This is the law of nature. A man who cannot command his own body is not a man. He is a prisoner of his own flesh, a slave to his own weakness. He moves only when comfort allows him to. He stops when pain whispers in his ear, and he folds when hardship appears on his path. But the powerful man? He is different. He has trained his body to submit to his will, not the other way around. The Stoics understood this well. They believed that hardship was not something to be avoided, but something to be embraced. Seneca once wrote, "A man is as strong as the hardships he can endure." This means that your power is measured not by what you can do when conditions are perfect, but by what you can do when everything in you screams for you to stop. This is where discipline is forged, and discipline is not motivation. The weak wait for motivation. They believe they need to feel a certain way before they can act. But the truth is brutal. Motivation is a fleeting illusion. It comes and goes like the wind, unreliable and weak. The man who waits for it is a man who will never accomplish anything great. But discipline? Discipline is iron. It does not care how you feel. It does not wait for perfect conditions. It does not negotiate. It is the ability to move forward whether you feel like it or not, whether the world is watching or not, whether the rewards are immediate or not. How do you train this? You train it in the fire of discomfort. You train it in the moments when your body screams for relief and you deny it. You train it when you push beyond your limits, not once, but every single day. This is why physical training is not just about strength. It is about command. Every time you step into hardship and refuse to back down, you are training the most powerful weapon you own, your mind. The ancient warriors of Sparta understood this well. They trained their bodies to be unbreakable, not for vanity, not for pleasure, but because they knew that a weak body leads to a weak mind, and a weak mind is the first step toward defeat. You must do the same. You must set a standard for yourself that is so high, so unshakable, that weakness becomes a foreign concept. You must engage in hardship voluntarily. Push your body to exhaustion. Train when you don't feel like it. Run when your legs beg you to stop. Lift when your muscles scream for relief. Every rep, every mile, every drop of sweat is a message to your mind. I am in control. This is not about fitness. It is about dominance. It is about proving every single day that you are stronger than your excuses. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you must build up your life action by action, and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible, and no one can keep you from this. This means that power is built in the smallest decisions. The decision to get up instead of rest. The decision to push instead of stop. The decision to master yourself instead of surrender. Make this your law. Your body obeys you, not the other way around. If you can master this, you will walk differently. You will carry yourself with a presence that demands respect, not because of how you look, but because of what you have become. And the world will know, without a single word, that you are not a man to be broken. Habit 4. Speaking only with power. Mastering your words, commanding respect. A man's words are his sword. They can cut through deception, command attention, and shape the world around him. But most men wield this sword carelessly. They speak too much, too quickly, without precision or purpose. They waste their breath on gossip, on complaints, on proving themselves to people who do not matter. And in doing so, they weaken themselves. The powerful man speaks differently. He understands that every word carries weight, and he treats his speech like a weapon, sharpened, intentional, deadly when necessary. He does not speak to be heard. He speaks to command. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." The wise man knows that silence is often more powerful than speech. The moment you begin to speak less, you will notice something strange. People start to listen more. Why? Because the world is drowning in noise. Weak men talk endlessly, hoping to be noticed. They ramble, explain themselves, seek validation with their words. But the powerful man, he chooses his words like a warrior chooses his strikes, carefully, strategically, with precision. And when he does speak, people listen. How do you train this? First, by eliminating all weak speech from your vocabulary. Never complain. Never justify yourself unnecessarily. Never explain your moves to those who do not deserve an explanation. Complaining is the language of the powerless. A man who complains is telling the world, "I have no control," and the world will believe him. Second, speak with conviction. When you say something, mean it. There should be no hesitation, no uncertainty in your voice. A powerful man does not ask for permission with his tone. He does not turn statements into questions. He speaks as if what he says is law. Third, master the art of silence. The strongest men in history have always been men of few words. They understand that silence makes others uncomfortable. It forces them to reveal themselves. It shifts the balance of power in any conversation. When you learn to be comfortable in silence, you become impossible to manipulate. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." This means that power is not in talking about greatness. It is in embodying it. Let your actions speak so loudly that your words become secondary. When you walk into a room, do not be the man who needs to be noticed. Be the man whose presence is felt without a single word. When you speak, speak with authority, with clarity, with force. Make every sentence a statement of power. The world is filled with men who talk too much and say too little. Do not be one of them. Speak only when necessary. Speak only with power. And watch as the world begins to listen. Habit 5. Becoming an unbreakable force. Embracing voluntary suffering to build indomitable strength. There is a secret that only the strongest men understand. A truth that separates the powerful from the weak, the disciplined from the directionless, the unshakable from the fragile. It is a truth that most will reject because it is uncomfortable, because it demands something from them that they are unwilling to give. But you, wisdom seeker, must not turn away from it. You must understand it, embrace it, and let it mold you into the man you are destined to become. And the truth is this: suffering is not to be avoided. Suffering is to be sought. Most men live their lives running from discomfort. They avoid pain. They seek comfort. They stay in the warmth of what is easy and familiar. They fear hardship as if it were a curse, and in doing so they make themselves weak. They believe that happiness comes from escaping struggle. But in reality, nothing destroys a man's spirit faster than a life of softness. The ancient Stoics knew this well. They understood that the greatest enemy of strength is not hardship, it is comfort. Epictetus, who was born a slave and rose to become one of the greatest philosophers of all time, taught that suffering was the path to true freedom. He once said, "Difficulties show a man what he is. Therefore, when trouble comes, think of yourself as a wrestler whom God has matched with a tough young opponent." Why? So that you may become a champion. Do you understand what he meant? He was telling us that suffering is not the enemy. Suffering is the test, and only those who willingly step into suffering will emerge powerful. So how do you apply this? You must train yourself to endure what others fear. You must condition your mind and body to thrive in hardship, not because the world will always demand it, but because if it ever does, you will already be prepared. You must harden yourself while others remain soft. You can begin by taking control of the small comforts in your life. Do not indulge in luxury without first proving that you can go without it. If you are used to warmth, spend time in the cold. If you are used to abundance, practice fasting. If you are used to ease, seek struggle. Take cold showers. Walk long distances instead of driving. Push yourself in physical training until your body begs you to stop. Then push further. Sleep on the floor when you do not have to. Eat plain food when you could have a feast. Not because these things make you suffer, but because they remind you that you are stronger than your circumstances. Seneca, one of the wealthiest and most powerful men in Rome, practiced voluntary hardship even when he lived in luxury. He would sleep on the ground, wear simple clothes, and eat the food of the poor. He did this not because he had to, but because he knew that power lies in detachment. He understood that the man who needs comfort is a man who can be broken. But the man who is prepared for suffering is untouchable. And this is your goal, to become untouchable. You must reach a point where pain does not break you, where suffering does not scare you, where discomfort does not shake you. You must reach a point where no matter what happens in your life, you can look hardship in the eye and say, "I have trained for this. I am ready." This is not theory. This is the path to true strength. The path that few will walk, but those who do will never be the same again. Do not fear suffering. Use it. Embrace it. Let it forge you into an unbreakable force. Habit 6. The art of strategic thinking. Moving through life like a chess grandmaster, not a pawn. The world is filled with men who move blindly, who act without thought, who react instead of plan. They stumble through life, hoping that things will work out, making decisions based on impulse rather than wisdom. And because of this, they are at the mercy of forces greater than themselves. They are pawns in a game they do not understand. But the powerful man? He is different. He does not move blindly. He does not act without foresight. He sees the world not as a chaotic mess of random events, but as a battlefield, a game of strategy, a puzzle to be solved. Every move he makes is deliberate. Every decision is calculated. He does not act based on emotion, but on logic, patience, and precision. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest emperors in history, knew the importance of strategy. He once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What did he mean? He meant that life does not reward those who simply react. It rewards those who anticipate, who think 3 steps ahead, who do not allow the world to dictate their actions, but instead did dictate the course of their own fate. You must become this kind of man. You must train yourself to see the hidden patterns, to understand the deeper forces at play. You must stop thinking like a pawn and start thinking like a grandmaster. How do you do this? First, you must learn the art of patience. Most men act too quickly. They rush into decisions. They let their emotions control them. They react before they understand. This is weakness. The strong man knows that every decision carries weight, that every move must be calculated. He does not rush. He observes. He studies. He waits until the right moment to strike. Second, you must develop the habit of deep thinking. Every day, take time to sit in silence and analyze your life like a strategist planning a war. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What opportunities are before you? What threats must you prepare for? Most men never ask themselves these questions. And because of that, they drift through life like a leaf in the wind. But you will not be one of them. You will think, plan, and move with purpose. Third, you must learn to detach from immediate gratification. Weak men seek pleasure in the moment. They want rewards now. They do not think about the long-term consequences of their actions. But the powerful man plays the long game. He is willing to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term victory. He is willing to endure hardship today if it means he will dominate tomorrow. Seneca said, "If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable." This means that a man without a plan is a man who will be lost at sea. You must always know your direction. You must always have a vision for where you are going and a strategy for how you will get there. Finally, you must learn to see people for what they truly are. The world is filled with manipulators, liars, and people who seek to control you. If you do not see them for what they are, you will become their pawn. But if you train yourself to observe carefully, to read between the lines, to understand the hidden motives of those around you, you will never be caught off guard. You will always be in control. This is the essence of strategic thinking. It is the ability to move through life like a master, not a fool. It is the ability to dictate the game rather than be played by it. And if you master this, you will find that the world bends to the will of the man who knows exactly what he is doing. Habit 7. Mastering emotional control, becoming a man who remains unshaken in every storm. A man who is controlled by his emotions is no different from a wild animal, unpredictable, weak, and easily manipulated. He is a man who can be provoked into anger, who can be seduced into distraction, who can be broken by fear. He is a man whose power is an illusion because in reality his emotions are his master. And a man with no control over himself can never truly be powerful. The powerful man, however, is a different breed. He does not react. He does not let his emotions dictate his actions. He does not allow anger, fear, sadness, or frustration to control him. Instead, he observes them, understands them, and then chooses his response with precision and mastery. This is the foundation of true power, the ability to remain unshaken in any storm. The Stoics called this ataraxia, a state of imperturbable tranquility where nothing external can disturb your inner peace. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, lived by this principle. He faced wars, betrayals, plagues, and the constant pressure of ruling the greatest empire in the world. Yet, in the midst of all this chaos, he wrote in his journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What does this mean for you? It means that no matter what happens in your life, whether you are insulted, betrayed, disappointed, or even faced with great loss, the only thing that truly matters is how you respond. And if you can master your response, you master everything. Most men fail because they react instead of act. They are ruled by impulses, by fleeting emotions, by the chaos of their own minds. One insult can make them explode in rage. One failure can make them collapse into self-pity. One rejection can make them question their worth. And because of this, they are weak. They are puppets, easily controlled by anyone who knows how to pull their strings. But you must not be like them. You must train yourself to become unshakable. How do you do this? First, you must practice detachment. This means training yourself to observe your emotions instead of becoming them. When anger rises, do not act on it. When fear grips you, do not surrender to it. Instead, step back. Observe it like an outsider. Ask yourself, what is happening here? Why do I feel this? Is this emotion helping me or weakening me? The moment you begin to analyze your emotions instead of obeying them, you gain control. Second, you must learn delayed reaction. Most mistakes are made in the heat of the moment. The man who acts without thinking is a man who will always regret his decisions. So when something provokes you, do nothing. At least for a moment. Let the wave of emotion pass before you respond. Take a deep breath. Count to 10 if necessary, and then choose your action with clarity and intelligence. Third, you must expose yourself to discomfort regularly. A man who never challenges his emotions will always be ruled by them. Put yourself in situations where your patience, resilience, and self-control are tested. Train in the cold. Work when you're tired. Practice silence when you want to argue. Face your fears instead of running from them. This is how you build the ability to remain calm under pressure. Seneca wrote, "A raging fire turns everything in its path into fuel." This is the mindset you must develop. Every challenge, every insult, every hardship must become fuel for your strength. The world should look at you and see a man who cannot be shaken, no matter what is thrown at him. When you walk into a room, your presence should say one thing: this is a man who is in control of himself. And when people realize they cannot manipulate you, that you do not react like ordinary men, that you are an island of calm in a sea of chaos, then you will know that you have become truly powerful. Habit 8. Living with an undeniable purpose. Building a legacy that cannot be erased. Most men live as if they will never die. They waste time, they drift through life without direction, they wake up each day with no greater mission than to survive. And because of this, they achieve nothing. They leave behind nothing. Their existence is forgotten the moment they are gone. But the powerful man, he is different. He does not waste time. He does not wander without direction. He does not live merely to exist. He lives to build. He understands that every day is an opportunity to create something greater than himself. Every action, every decision, every moment is a brick in the foundation of his legacy. The Stoics believe that a man's greatest responsibility is to live with purpose. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "It is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live." And to truly live means to dedicate yourself to something greater than momentary pleasure. The question is, what are you building? A man without a purpose is like a ship without a destination. He drifts, tossed by the winds, moved by the currents of other people's expectations. But a man with a mission, he moves with force. He wakes up every day with fire in his veins. He does not waste time on meaningless distractions, because he knows that every moment wasted is a moment stolen from his purpose. Finding your purpose is not about waiting for inspiration. It is about choosing something that is worth dedicating your life to. It does not matter if it is building a business, mastering a craft, becoming a leader, or creating something that will outlast you. What matters is that you commit fully, without hesitation, without excuses. How do you live with purpose? First, you must eliminate everything that does not serve your mission. Weak men live in distraction. They waste hours on entertainment, gossip, mindless scrolling, chasing pleasures that give them nothing in return. But the powerful man, he cuts out everything that does not push him forward. He values his time as if it were gold, because he understands that time is the only thing he can never get back. Second, you must set standards for yourself that are so high they force you to grow. Most men set small goals, and so they remain small. But you must aim for something so great that it demands everything from you. Something that makes you wake up early, train hard, work relentlessly. Your purpose should scare you, because if it doesn't, it is not big enough. Third, you must remind yourself every day that you are running out of time. The clock is ticking. Every second brings you closer to the end. Most men ignore this because it terrifies them. But the powerful man, he uses it. He lets the weight of mortality push him forward, making every action urgent, every decision meaningful. Seneca wrote, "While we waste our time hesitating and postponing, life is slipping away." This is why you must act now, not tomorrow, not next year, now. Because there is no guarantee that you will wake up tomorrow with another chance to chase your purpose. Live every day as if you are building something that will outlast you. Make your name one that cannot be forgotten. Move with urgency, with intensity, with fire in your soul. And when the world looks at you, Let them see a man who does not simply exist, but a man who creates, builds, and dominates. Because in the end, power is not given, it is taken. And it is taken by the man who dares to live with a purpose so strong that nothing can stand in his way.